We are back with Vishnu Doerga. So Vishnu, with your qualifications and experience, you could probably get a job anywhere paying you lots of money. Why are you still in Guyana?
Good question. I've been thinking about that recently. Yeah, there are many other places that I could easily do much better. I'm currently in Miami, and when I look at the opportunities in the US, it's amazing. Especially given my level of skill. I've done consulting in Trinidad for over a year. I know the demand for my level of skill, but we keep talking about the potential that Guyana possesses, and we lose talented people every single day, which is extremely worrying. And because it's that, because of that, I really want to make sure that there are enough people who can take Guyana forward. It may not be me. And it's one of the reasons that I'm heavily involved in education as well. I lecture on MBA courses, I do guest lectures, I try to support every organization that is involved in education. Because we can be complaining from now to, kingdom come and still not achieve what we can. And adding value. So we keep talking about adding value and diversification. But if we don't add value to ourselves, we can never add value to a product or a service. It's a very simple formula. Mm-hmm. So first step in adding value in Guyana is adding value to each and every individual in Guyana.
Do you have a vision of a new Guyana through empowerment of young entrepreneurs?
I think that in a very short space of time, we could transform Guyana. Education are really getting the results. And if you look at the studies in other countries, it takes anywhere between 4 to 10 years to have a decent improvement. I think that is possible in Guyana, and Guyana technically is one of the wealthiest countries on earth. If we were to take inventory or take stock of all the resources that Guyana possesses, GDP per capita rate, or resources per capita, we should be the richest in the world. Now, it just takes committed people, and this is where, if I didn't have my own clients to focus on, I would possibly get frustrated with the level of slot that in which things operate within Guyana. Currently, if you just look at Facebook or look at the newspapers, you can see the amount of anti-business activities, which, I can see it. I don't speak unless I've analyzed something and unless I've come up with solutions. But when you sometimes hear people who are in positions to serve, and sometimes I think they forget they're public servants, when you sometimes see the ideas that they come up with, it does get frustrating, it does get worrying. It kind of pushes us in the opposite direction of where ideally Guyana should go. But it's not going to be solved by one person. It's going to take a whole army of competent and committed people, because I also know a lot of very competent people who are sitting very happily in Guyana and out of Guyana and will not necessarily do what's necessary because it's easier not to. Again, for me, it's not about money. I'm not a very expensive guy, not a jewelry guy, don't drink, don't smoke. Drink occasionally, now that I think about it, but no smoking, no, I'm not, so I don't have a heavy demand on, for income. So I can actually do what I like, and yeah.
But Vishnu, you are the new president of the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry. What is your vision for this organization?
I really want the organization to do what it was mandated to do, 127 years ago, which is to really be the private sector development driver. We've already hit several milestones in terms of income to the chamber, in terms of the largest membership ever of the chamber. We now need to be able to get the education that these entrepreneurs require, the opportunities which are all around us, in a manner that is easily accessible. So through the chamber and through the work of our trade and investment chairman, the past president, Lance Hines, he's put in a lot of work in order for us to be able to access CDB funding, to focus on particular sectors. So we really want to focus on sectors and move them forward. Because by doing so, the chamber is always, and many other business support organizations again, have really operated on a knife edge when it comes to revenues and expenses. Unless we really ramp up our revenues, we will be stuck in a place where, we just collect some fees and we do whatever we can. I'd like the organization to get to a point where there's more than enough income so that we can hire the best legal specialists, marketing specialists, so that we can continuously analyze what's happening and present proposals from a private sector perspective, so that by doing so, we stop being this reactive. I would love the organization to be very proactive and really leading economic growth in Ghana.
Any plans, any short-term plans to put some of these in action into effect?
I think we have 14 projects which are running right now, 3 through the CDB, where we're supporting agro-processing, art and craft, and the music industry. We have collaborations with the Sky Project, which deals with reducing youth unemployment. We have a project that's running on business incubation, which is a partnership between CUSO, the Small Business Bureau, and it's actually the reason why I'm currently in Miami, to look at one of the best incubators/accelerators in this country, Venture Hive here in Miami, to look at how their model works and what we could adopt to better serve Guyana. And it's amazing, looking at the amount of companies in this building. I'm still in the building right now, and how they're progressing. And we're here with 10 Caribbean countries, represented by various companies, and to see how within the span of a week, how far education has taken them, it's amazing. I'm going to share the coverage with you. But these are just a few of the many activities in which we're involved in.
So, describe for us and I know Guyana is a very interesting environment, and so you, being the new president of an organization such as the Chamber of Commerce, must have had its challenges. What would you say is one of the most difficult decisions you've had to make since you became president?
Yeah, deciding to really confront some of the issues which have been facing the private sector for quite a while. We have the type of approach in Guyana that's not only reactive, but sometimes submissive, where we don't say what's on our mind because of fear of retaliation and retribution. I've taken a decision, and I'm happy that the majority of my members feel the same way, that it's time for us to just say what we need and do what is necessary. I'm hoping that when the heat gets turned up, that they're gonna be ready and willing to do what is necessary. But if we don't do that, we need to be an equal, a credible partner as well. We can't be the type of organization to rubber stamp activities, and we can't be the type of organization that gets dismissed when we don't agree. So I think that's probably the biggest change of mentality, shift in paradigm that we are going through. But it's going to be very important that with our growing membership, I think we're at 200. We should be at 200 by now. I think today we had our statutory meeting. That we continue to develop leaders within the organization. I think that is going to be key. I myself was developed by many mentors, many coaches over the course of my life. And I am doing that formally now, but we want to make it even more structured, that those potential leaders in the organization get well prepared and at a much younger age, so that they also have the requisite energy to do what's necessary. I mean, experience, expertise are all good, but without energy, it's useless as well. So I noticed that you have had several of the guests who are members of our chambers as well, and you would have noticed the energy levels. What we really want to do is to make sure that they're well prepared to take the organization and the country forward.
You mentioned Lance Hines, actually an old classmate of mine and friend. Lance is a very forward-thinking and a visionary as well, and the former president of the chamber. You said through Lance's effort, the chamber is developing or has developed relationship with the CDB. Am I correct? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, he's put a lot of effort in. He's put a lot of effort into making sure that we were able to access this funding. It's EU funding, the NTDF, and it's amazing the amount of work he puts into making sure that these projects, and it's 3 years worth of work. We're now actually starting, but he's put 3 years worth of work into this, which isn't common for any private sector operative in Guyana.
If it's one thing you'd want to take away from that you've learned from Lance, one positive thing, what would that be?
He knows that his diplomacy. I'm not the most diplomatic person, but being under his wings for over 2 years now has improved my level of diplomacy. That's the one big thing that I have. That he's shared with me, and his guidance over the years has helped me to make sure that I don't unnecessarily burn bridges, that I always try diplomacy first. So I may not have been the best student, but I think I've improved.
What are some of your constraints in that position?
Lack of revenue. So we really need to set up our revenue model different so that we can bring in more resources. I think the organizations, and this happens across Guyana, where we as elected representatives really do need to act more at the policy level, that we don't get involved into the day-to-day. I think us getting involved into day-to-day running of organization weakens the organization. We're supposed to, set policy, and then the executive arm, the executive director, who's a full-time employee of the organization, should really do what we are doing right now. And it is my intention to make sure that the team moving forward starts building that capacity. Our executive director should be at the level of a minister of government. They should be the one going and talk to the minister on our behalf. And because they will be there for an extended period of time, my term ends in a year, right? So less than a year. And this weakens the cycle, because every time we have a new leader, it sometimes feels as if the clock is reset, whereas the capacity needs to be built at the organizational level. And we've been doing a lot of work on that for the past few years, and it is improving. But it needs, our revenue model needs to be strengthened so that we can make sure that organizational capacity also gets to the level. That's one of the constraints now. The other constraint is basically, segmentation of private sector entities in Guyana. We have 20 plus private sector organizations. It sometimes causes for both duplication and the creation of a lot of gaps and underserved areas. So that is also something that I want to put some effort into, to make sure that the private sector across the board, not just the Georgetown Chamber, but every single other business support organization grows in capacity so that they can better serve their constituency.
What really drives you, Vishnu?
Time
Time.
and the lack of it.
I'm going to read a quote. I believe and I do in order to have. Yours, I believe.
Yeah.
How does this resonate with you, Vishnu?
It is based to some extent on the formula we have in the company, which is B times do equals have.
B times 2 times
B-
do
Yeah, B times do
equal have.
equals have.
Wow.
And everybody is always so focused on what they want to have. I mean, if you stop anybody right now, if you go talk to your neighbor right now, they can probably tell you exactly what they want to have in great detail. Some people actually know exactly what they need to do in order to have these things. But one of the key things is that they don't realize who they need to become in order to do these things, in order to have these things. And a simple example I use with people is just think about yourself 5 years ago. Think about where you were, your condition, position at that particular time. And let's say for an hour, I could send you back 5 years in time. And you just have 1 hour to tell the past you all the lessons that you could transfer. Would it still take you 5 years to get where you are?
Wow.
Right? So it wouldn't. It would probably, most people say, if I really knew all these things, I'll get where I am today in 2 or 3 years, maybe less. So what I really encourage people to do is to think about who do you want to become 5 years from now, and be very clear about that, because it sets a clear path of what you need to do every single day to become that person. And then the doing and the having
That's the action part, Vishnu.
that's the action part. But if you don't know who you're becoming, you can do and forever and still not have what you want.
Wow.
So I live by that. I'm more focused on the be part than the do and the have part. Although the doing part, I do a lot of it, but I know who I want to be.
In the chat room, Anna asks, how does one find you, Vishnu?
Yeah, Vishnu Doerga. If you type that in on Google, you'll find me. On Facebook, I'm located at 122 Parade Street in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers of the office are 223-5583, but the easiest thing is usually just typing it in. You'll find my websites. You can always contact me through that path. I have a very strong team that help me serve our clients. And not only our clients, I think we help more non-clients than we do clients.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if it's not something that is our specialty, we'll give you some advice and we'll refer you to who can help you, because our only intent is to make sure that you get the results you're looking for. If it's unrealistic, we'll tell you so as well. But our screening process, we probably only work with about 5 to 10% of the people who actually come to us. But I think everybody who comes to us still gets help.
Some service. Mark said, this is interesting. Can he tell us if many businesses who use him fail?
So far, there isn't any who has failed.
Mm-hmm.
There's some who are looking to scale up but haven't scaled up as yet. But none has failed. None has failed. 80% have already met their goals that they were looking for when they walked into our office. The biggest challenge is usually once they meet those goals, because after 2 or 3 months, all those goals that they would have set for 6 months, a year, start looking small.
Wow.
Sometimes the idea becomes, well, think bigger, take a break, go think bigger. And some companies, it's just about timing. Guyana is going through a low growth phase right now, let's call it that to be diplomatically correct. Many of our commodities are at very low prices, and this has been going on for the past 3 to 4 years right now, which does mean that very soon, because they're all cyclical commodities, when the prices go up, and some of the companies, I've advised them as well, just prepare yourself for when the cycle is on the upswing. It makes no sense to put a lot of energy into a new launch and a new scaling up if the market isn't 100% ready. You don't get the full impact. So I don't have any failures. Most of the time, because the vetting process and the testing process is so detailed, we always test things on a smaller scale, and we make sure that the solution is almost infallible before we implement. So because of doing so, we even in our execution phases, we hardly ever have failures.
I want to go to some of your action. Well, I call them action points. You could always correct me. You have 11 reasons clients choose Vishnu Doerga. I want to focus on 4 of them, Vishnu. And as I call each, you could tell me what comes to mind as quickly as possible. Value.
Winning.
Knowledge.
Necessity.
Commitment.
Vision.
Action.
Must.
What is your deepest concern and fear for youth development in Guyana?
That the youth themselves don't understand their place, and that I may not be, and not only me, but all of us who are involved in driving youth, that we don't make enough noise, that we don't go and throw a bucket of ice water on them to wake them up, for them to understand their role in this entire equation. I think that is one of my deepest fears, because I see so many youth sabotaging themselves. And I think this happens continuously, where we do believe that there's some magic solution to the problems that exist, when really, if you look at the way we solve problems, they're the simplest methods. The simplest methods, the easiest practical methods. And sometimes I don't know if we expect solutions to be complex, and therefore we sit and we wait for someone else to solve our problems. But I think that's my deepest fear, not making enough noise, enough vibrations to reach those who really need this message. Yeah.
What is most gratifying about doing what you do, Vishnu?
Yeah, finding more problems to solve. I always tell my clients that, and I tell everybody that, with the research I'm doing as well, I would really love for them to bring something that is truly a unique challenge. And from time to time, I do come across those. It's very satisfying to find situations which haven't been resolved as yet, and then to find a solution. I think I'm a solution junkie. How could we solve this?
Vishnu, don't forget that I have your personal phone number, right? Good. So and we do owe each other a chat.
Yeah.
When are you most happy?
I think all the time.
What?
That's a good question.
What are you most proud of?
Yeah, my daughter and the way she's turning out. I can pat myself on the back. I think it's a decent job so far.
Congratulations.
Much better than I expected, so I'm very proud of that.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell that 15-year-old boy?
Yeah, always give people an opportunity, and always create opportunities. I think I do it more consciously now, but being 15, I think probably up to 25 was very individualistic. Always made sure that I got my stuff done and then helped. I found now that, and maybe it was a situation of need as well, But I found now that I focus more on connecting and creating opportunities, and people then usually find me if they need me. But yeah, if I could give some advice to the 15-year-old is mm, focus on creating opportunities as well.
Creating opportunities.
You're too young or too old to do so.
If you were to reflect on your two grandparents, grandmothers, and your mom, who would you feel um, who would you feel would encourage you more? Or let me change that question. That's unfair. Do you think they would be, and they're the ones that would have encouraged you to be this compassionate and this helpful?
I think my grandmoms definitely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Grandmoms definitely, yeah.
One quick thing, Vishnu, you were honored by the Guyana Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, sorry, as 2011 Young Business Executive. Why do you think you were chosen, and what did that award say to you about you?
And I was surprised. One of my colleagues in the Upper Quarantine Chamber had nominated me. I wasn't a member of the Georgetown Chamber back then, and I actually, well, it was announced who the other people were, and they were chamber members and very successful business executives as well, as young as me. And subsequently, they did win that same award in following years. But it was mentioned that it was the first time that an outlying chamber was able to really. I was then the head of that chamber. It was the first time an outlying chamber was able to raise to that level of prominence. And for a long time, the Upper Quarantine Chamber was ranked as the second most active chamber in the country. And I think that was one of their criteria. And I think it was also the level of effort being put in. But I was very happy to be acknowledged in that manner, and I'm hoping that it served as an example. I've seen the winners after, and there are also people who put a lot of work into developing Guyana.
Last question of the evening, Vishnu. What makes you laugh out loud?
I think family. I usually find myself laughing when I'm around my family. Yeah. When it's business, I think sometimes I get a bit too serious because I'm just hunting for the solution.
Solution makes you serious, Vishnu?
Yeah,
or searching for it, sorry. You did say searching for it.
Searching for, because finding the solution kind of makes me happy again, or extremely happy again. But getting my brain to focus on what really the problem is, I like that. But at that point in time, I don't think I'm the happiest, or I don't probably show it.
I'm going to cheat here tonight, Vishnu, and ask you another question. 3 reasons why you are not scared to confront any business that comes in front of you seeking help.
How many reasons?
3.
Number one, I know there is a solution. So being an engineer taught me that. I can still hear my professors talking into my ear that there's always a solution.
Wow.
The nice thing with engineering is that there's generally only one solution. The nice thing with business is there are 100 solutions. I see so many businesses who survive and thrive despite themselves, despite them making so many mistakes. So I know there is a solution. Reason number one. Reason number two, it's really up to them. It's not up to me. I don't really do the work. They do the work. So if they have the commitment, 90% of the work is done. So
Hold
that's
on,
why
Vishnu. If they have the commitment, 90% of the work is done.
Yeah, commitment, because I'm going to give you all the skills you need.
Wow.
So with all the skills and you have the commitment, 90% is done. 10% might be luck or chance or whatever can happen. So I've given you commitment, and then I think the knowledge of what the impact could be, not just on the business owner. The business owner will make more profit, but the employees who need to, buy books for their kids, pay off for a car loan, go get a mortgage. Me doing what I can do with the business owner impacts everybody else who is connected with that owner directly or indirectly. So there is really no fear because I know that the impact would be huge. And in many cases, employees don't get their rightful acknowledgement. They don't get the training they need. They don't get a growth path within the company. And that is sometimes what actually holds the company back. So it's not even me sitting with the business owner. It's me knowing, well, the amount of impact we could make for all those people in the company.
Vishnu, thank you, my brother.
Sure, Selvin, anytime.
Thank you. You see, you did an hour and a few minutes more.
Not too bad.
Maybe I should sign up for coaching, right, Vishnu?
I hope that you were able to coach a lot of people tonight and that they make good use of it.
I'm sure you have, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, Selvin, take care.
You too. Good night.